Welcome back to the Dan Le Batard Show. I was giving Pablo a countdown in his headphones, but he was like,
Oh, my
zoning
volume
out.
was way down.
Yeah, you didn't know that we were starting with all the hubbub.
Oh, look at us.
Yeah, we're live, Pablo.
So do we want to talk about what we did last night?
Yeah, why don't you take it away? Pretend I just gave you a countdown like I just did and start the show properly.
3, 2, 1.
What a night. I didn't want to start this way because I actually feel like I am blessed when I visit this city and get to hang out with you guys at games. I did this in April. I saw Jimmy Butler score a zillion points in the playoffs. And this time, what Leo Messi is doing is, it feels like what cryptocurrency promised us. It was like, oh, Mike was right. Diamond hands. Should have believed from the start. We're going to the moon. Leo Messi's just going to do this every single time. It's just a giant green arrow.
Here's a stat of the day. Leo Messi is 2 goals away from being in the top 10 in club history in goals for Inter Miami. Look, it's been a tough...
Doesn't he have 3 goals?
It's been a tough row to hoe for Inter Miami, even though they've made the playoffs twice in their 3 years of existence. But, yeah, you may not have known that either.
I'm a season ticket holder.
Yeah, well, the first year it was expanded because of COVID. But, look, Inter Miami have been really bad this year. Really bad. They got off to an okay start, and then they dipped in form because they had a bunch of injuries. We're starting a bunch of academy kids. And because for the last 2 years, they have been positioning this roster for this very moment. It's not like a finger snap, and they just got Messi here, and we're off to the races. There was years and years and years of work and roster construction and eating fines and penalties. Some of the heaviest MLS has ever given because of the Matuidi contract, that whole debacle because an owner in the ownership group narked on them. It's a whole thing. But they absolutely took a bunch of L's with huge holes missing in their roster to make sure that they were positioned for this, and it seems to have worked out.
You just provided a lot of complicated backstory, which I appreciate, none of which was necessary to appreciate what we saw last night. That's kind of the thing about this story, is that you show up and you're like, oh, that guy. That is, in fact, the greatest player that has ever lived. And, in fact, he is this much better than everybody else in this sport. Whittingham was texting me after the game, we can get into the post-game, the pre-game, all that stuff later, but just the sports of it, I do want to nerd out on because it just seems clear that the promise, Mike, Chris, what we saw, the promise of no one has been this good in this sport in America ever. And in fact, he's just going to do the thing where he just scores goals whenever he wants. Scoring the game winner on a free kick in his first debut. And then just doing it on command seemingly. Not once, but twice. And then if he wanted to, it seemed however many more times that he wanted to.
It's like he started a franchise mode in FIFA, and he started on easy. Rookie mode. And he's like, I got to make this more difficult because this is just like, I'm not having fun. I wanted to have success, but now it's too easy. 3-0 first half. It's like, I got to turn this up to medium.
That is a very talented Atlanta United side.
You told me this.
That was Inter Miami's
Could
first
not
ever
tell.
3-goal lead in franchise history. They won 4-0. Almada, the other reigning World Cup winner for Argentina, on the opposite side of the field that nobody was really paying attention to, miss a PK.
How about those fans leaving early, though? I mean, geez. Just a bunch of jerks.
You were one of them.
Sit it out.
You were one of them.
Yeah,
and
I
you
did.
live closer to the stadium, so that's a bad look,
Well,
pal.
Pablo left before Messi got
We're
taken out.
doing this already.
Yeah, we're shaming each other. Pablo left for Uber purposes. I was just like, all right, Messi's gone. I can
So
go.
a couple of things about this experience. Number one, it turns out that Drive Pink Stadium is not in the Uber app. And so what you got to do is go to Google Maps and you put in Drive Pink Stadium and you pull out manually, as sometimes we often do, the address that you then type in to the Uber app. And we did that. And we went there. And it was like a tire repair thing in Fort Lauderdale. And we were not alone because there's a procession of people in Messi,
Bunch
like
of Messi
Argentina
jerseys.
jerseys, walking sadly, pathetically, like the half hour that was needed to go from the mistaken address to the actual arena. Felt like a bit of an infrastructure issue.
And it's super far from Miami proper. You can
Yes.
confirm now, which I think contextually, as it's kind of gone viral. Not kind of. It has the time-lapse video of everyone leaving after Messi gets subbed out in the 75th minute. and people are using that to own folks, I say bravo for sticking through it that long.
I
'cause
regret
that game
nothing.
was over.
I regret nothing.
The stadium is super far, and I stayed till the end, mainly because I was an invited guest by MLS. Thank you again, everybody, for treating many of our show to that match. And also, I've been a day one season ticket holder for this club, and I haven't seen many performances like that. And I wanted to relish in that performance, and I didn't want to insult the people that put forth that performance by leaving once Messi came out. However, that being said, I understand, because I was in that parking lot for an hour after the game, all to make it out of that stadium and drive yet another hour to the populous center of Miami-Dade County. It's not easy getting there. And if you've seen some of the other matches in the League Cup where there's like 215 people in the stands, I'd say maybe let's not dunk on throngs of people leaving after 77 minutes.
2 weeks ago, Jess was making fun of how this was a Fort Lauderdale thing, not a Miami thing. And I was like, ha ha ha, she's just being snide. And then I tried to get there and get home. And I was like, oh, this is very, very exactly what it is. I mean, I was going to the game in an Uber, and the left lane was a procession of about 20 cars, the sight of which caused my driver to say, oh, that's Messi.
Yeah, you would.
And I'm pretty sure it was.
You would think with that struggle that you had getting to the match, you would sit in your seat and really appreciate the greatness early on. But you missed Messi's first goal for a chicken tender. Chicken tender.
He hits me with, like, I think 6 or 7 minutes into the game, he hits me with, Chris, when are we breaking the seal?
I was
so
like,
Pablo,
hungry.
I already did.
I left early in order to make sure that the traffic was accommodated for. Under the assumption, I told Chris, I was wandering around this building that's sort of not a building, trying to make decisions on, there's no line at this hamburger place. There's no line at this $14 hot dog thing.
You got to always investigate the suite before you make any purchases.
But on my badge, it said Field Suite. And I said to myself, I'm a veteran of this game. There's going to be stuff there. And I get there, and I don't eat it, and I go outside to see the beginning of the game. I see Mike. I see Chris. I tell Chris, when are you breaking the seal? Chris informs me he already broke his seal. He's already eaten. And at that point, I'm like,
it was an awkward thing where there weren't a lot of people eating. So
no one was eating
You had that
there.
awkward feeling of like, can I or can't I?
No one was eating because the match had started. That's why no one was eating.
So what I did...
And the food was inside, away from the action, where the greatest player ever was playing soccer.
What I did...
But chicken tendies.
...was resemble the conventional wisdom that in no way is Leo Messi just going to come out here and immediately score another goddamn goal. Of course, I would have enough time to grab a chicken tender because I hosted 4 hours of goddamn radio today and haven't eaten. And instead, what I witnessed through the glass, smudged by the 100-degree humidity, is a scene unfolding that I sarcastically referred to as the history we were going to see as I was watching the caravan of Secret Service ferry literally Leo Messi in the left lane through the traffic that everybody else had to wait through. And then I burst through the door and saw Chris Cody already with his phone out, pointed at me, laughing at the fact that I had missed actual history.
I wish I had video of you head down looking at the chicken tenders, hearing the roar, and just the, oh no, the first look. I wish I just had that snapshot.
I had never felt more like a sitcom dad. Or that gif of a guy who has like a bunch of pots and pans that he's like juggling. I literally was cursing to myself, yelling, standing over a Sterno can of admittedly delicious, free, high-end, field suite chicken tenders.
What a great location we had for that goal, too. The celebration happened right in front of us.
We got to paint the scene, Mike, because we were sitting at the most corner possible location, right by the corner flag.
Not a great place to see the entire game play out and plays develop. You're pretty much fixated on one side of the pitch.
But first half goals.
But first half goals, thankfully, the toss broke our way, and we got to see all the action.
It was incredible. It was incredible. And the best part for me, as somebody who does not regret the chicken tenders, because what happened shortly thereafter was Leo Messi just scored another goal. And I got that. And I was like, okay, you guys are just going to have this in your life now? This is just what it's like to be a Miami sports fan now.
To be honest, you've seen one goal, you've seen them all, Pablo. You're good.
But he didn't see the first one.
Absolutely not.
He saw one. He saw the other one, so he saw the first one too.
Goals are different in that sport. That's big.
They're all 1 point.
Pitch is long.
Can we explain, though, why it is that Messi seemed to be completely uncovered and just able to do whatever he wanted? Like, what accounts for that?
Well, I see. There's been a lot of hyperbolic reaction. Oh, last place, Inter Miami is just going to run through the league right now if they're doing that to Atlanta. Keep in mind, they needed a last-second free kick winner against the last place in Liga MX in their previous match. I do think it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but the main difference between what happened against Cruz Azul and what happened against Atlanta United was Cruz Azul knew that was the greatest player of all time, and they threw 3 defenders at Messi, and still he dominated that match. Atlanta United decided they're just going to give Messi all the space he wants.
Apparently.
And you shouldn't do that.
Okay, if they gave him that much space, he would have scored like 5 or 6 goals, right? I mean, he only had 2. Is he really that good?
He had 2 and 2 assists? Is Messi really that good?
If he was really that good, they're winning this game like 10-0.
Robert Taylor is going to get a Finnish call-up. Robert Taylor's the real winner in all of this. Robert Taylor is good with the ball at his feet, but here's the thing about Robert Taylor, if you're an Inter Miami fan. He'll never pick his head up. He just looks at the ground.
But he was the one who assisted on the second Messi goal.
Oh, dude,
yes?
he had a worldie to the asinine take of you've seen one goal, you've seen them all. Like Robert Taylor had an absolute worldie.
But
Score a hat trick, Messi.
I just want to know who is the most thrilled person on Inter Miami's entire organizational chart right now.
The coach. Coach of the year? Question mark? I mean, the guy is just on the sideline, just smiling.
Basically eating chicken tenders.
Just nodding, kind of like, I'm doing well so far.
I say whoever works for them that is making commission off of like ticket sales and deals, their salary just went up like 300%.
No, the certified winner is the social media director that gets to put on his LinkedIn exponential growth. In my tenure, we went from 700,000 followers on social media to 15 million.